Good morning, Yatehe. It's your host, Purple Sparkle Felicity, here with a mild update. Today is the November 9th, 2022, Wednesday, when the Native American tribes of the United States of America are going to be heard for the oral argument to uphold ICWA, the U.S. Supreme Court. I have to admit that my meditations have been shoddy, and I've been manifesting and struggling with the complexity of the personal effects and my personal experiences. That ICWA, as an example, where life as a Native American, especially as a female Native American in general, has had. Uh, so what happened to my lobbying? I got a letter back from a senator, Hopler. Hold on a second. I got tears in my eyes, y'all. Like, I really don't want to read the letter right now. I think I've posted it, and I've made videos about it. I'll probably just post another one later as like a part 2. So here's what happened. This is how we Native Americans responded to upholding ICWA. 497 tribal nations came forward. 62 Native organizations came forward. 23 states and DC district. 87 Congress people. 27 welfare and adoption organizations, and many others signed on 21 briefs submitted to the Supreme Court in favor of upholding ICWA. And then all of us that petitioned. Now there's 4 of them that I know of. I've signed one with the UN. I've signed one with Lakota. I've signed one with the Indian Human Health Services, I think. And then there's another one. It was Resist. There we go. I'm getting my information from ICWA.org. So National Child Indian Welfare Act.org. You can go ahead and try to find it on the website like I had. And this is a large bipartisan coalition of tribe leaders, policymakers, and organizations understand that the far-reaching consequences of challenging ICWA's constitutionality in Hahaland and Hepbakid will be felt for generations. It pretty much will be taking us back to boarding schools, starvation, running us off of land, more mass murders, mineral rights, oil rights, land rights, water rights, right to breathe, right to breed, right for happiness, pursuit of happiness, freedom of movement. Basic constitutional stuff that we live now that we did not have before. So for generations, they're not kidding. Both Native and non-Native people and organizations have authored briefings ranging from legal perspectives affirming ICWA's constitutionality to first-person perspectives from those who live and are most impacted by ICWA. I did fill out a small, very personal, very direct, more than I've shared here with you, with this. Being a Native female with a violent ex-husband, by the laws of the state that I am from, not the state that I'm currently in, but because he's white and had money, the man that strangled me and chased me to the house with a knife and racial slurs and abandoned me and beat me and has my daughter. And I have a whole opinion about this because deep meditations brought me to a couple of things, realizations like When I told them I was Native American, they didn't honor it. They refused to run my numbers, my social security number. They refused to inform the Bureau of Indian Affairs. They refused to wait for legal counsel on my behalf to be assigned. So they forced me to go through a judicial system that is not respecting ICWA or my rights as a First Nation. So they shoved me through what's called a sham, forcing it to be a mistrial, and it can be overturned. But until that happens, I absolutely need ICWA to stay, so I have something to fight for, because I can assure you that if he's so eager to abuse me, and now he is her alienated, I do not think the healthy transitions of boundaries and personal safety and respect for her DNA, and because she's from a Native woman, I do not think that would be there, because there's culture genocide, assimilation, alienation, discrimination. There's holy shit Asians. Anyways, I digress. But I do want to let you know that this is extremely personal to me, and that I have tried. ICWA and families navigating the child welfare system. Did you know it's 20% of all foster care is Native Americans, which is in direct violation of ICWA, because if they could take the children and force them through white assimilation. Okay. I am a foster child. I can attest firsthand that back in the 90s to the 2000s, that is 100% what I experienced, and not limited to or excluding physical violence, forced haircutting, starvation, isolation, physical, emotional, sexual abuse, mental abuse, degradation. It is not a joke when they say it's a pipeline to being a felon. They were trying their damnedest to get me to react to their egregious abuses so they could justify that there was a problem with me while they were the one attacking me. I'm not even kidding. And I was out early because of my stepfather. He was filing paperwork to get me out. And ICWA, guys, I'm telling you, this is a big deal. The child development expertise provided in these briefings show us and the Supreme Court that ICWA serves children and families' best interests. Additionally, tribal leadership, legal experts, and policymakers make the case that ICWA is not only constitutional, but also upholds and respects tribal sovereignty, which I think is I hate to say it, but bigger picture adulthood here. Native Americans, we are a community, and we need the sovereignty of our community. So if we get back our children, or when we get back our children, we are here. So we are a tribe sovereign. Those who signed on these briefs stand with Native kids. You bet your ass. Adoption is one of the most influential events. Now what they're trying to do is they're trying to brush under the carpet here. This whole article is built to provide some information and not give away legal structure, and not bring into the obvious deep pain of personal experiences, and why ICWA is really my baby girl's only choice to not be beaten, raped. He used to make jokes of putting her on kiddie porn sites and making money having people pay him to do it. It's not funny. And he has her, she's alienated. Adoption is one of the most influential events that can happen in a child's life. It has the power to shape the entire future. ICWA ensures that this decision is given careful consideration so that the unique needs of the Native American children are met. ICWA places kids and their extended families or communities when possible, or stated placed with their extended families or communities when possible, which is considered best practices by child Indian welfare experts. On that, there has been lots of science backed worldwide, I'm not even kidding, about the effects of love and nurture and touching and cultural identity. People have been studying the effects of the Holocaust, of children in orphanages, the ones that were held, the one that weren't held, the trauma bonds between Native Americans culturally and the Native Americans that have been within their tribe and their community the whole time, and the difference. And then the medical community, like the West Coast, not the West Coast, the Western medical community stepped in with neuropsychological, neurobiological CT scans and deep diving, and they had all kinds of doctors, parapsychologists, psychologists, neuropsychologists step in and run lengths of tests. So there's proof that this is damaging. There's even recent proof in the recent studies that the trauma that I've experienced is actually stored within me, and I have passed it on to my children. So there's actual science here. And then I am also carrying a generational trauma of my Native ancestors. Sorry, having a hard time keeping it in. Did you know my mother and uncle went to boarding schools? Yeah, Mom ran away. And Uncle John was chained to a piano and left there for months without food or water or ability to go to the bathroom, and beaten, and that one was closed down right at the end of it before the ICWA was instated. So that's what we have to look forward to. I can't even grasp what he went through. And my cousin, his daughter, she's got trauma issues, and though she's had a blessed life, I can't even just. So I was going to take up a doctorate in psychiatry, and I wanted to work specifically with veterans and the Native Americans and trauma. And one of my specialties would have been my dissertation. Actually, one of my dissertations was going to be on the trauma effects, which is how I know all those reports of medical science is there to support the gravity. Moving forth. So I have actual some professional backing of what I'm saying. I'm not just talking out my butt. There's sought out professional acumen here. Moving forward. ICWA places kids with their extended families or communities when possible, which is considered the best practices by child welfare experts. Research shows that when kids are connected to their identity and their culture, it leads to positive outcomes, including high self-esteem and academic achievement. Now, for the review that don't understand how that sociologically equates, we're not going to be felons, drug addicts, murderers, rapists, thieves, chronic criminal behavior, and this is all going to be genetically not passed down. Because the trauma is not going to be there. It's not going to be inherent. It also drug abuse. It's so that's that's the beginning parts of it. How criminalization. So it goes back to the many arguments and deep dive studies that have been textbook that are now case studies offered in school of nature versus nurture, the neurological assignments of each, and the progression of trauma within the cells, so forth, so forth. I do recommend that you Google on Google Academia. There's also I used to be able to find them on the medical journals and so forth, in psychiatry and neuro doctor stuff, and they've actually been published in several magazines. So you might even go to the library and look it up too. If not, you can call the New York Library. They are exquisite with getting information. So is the Library of Congress. On the opposing side, who seeks to harm ICWA, have shown that they do not care about what is best for the native kids. ICWA opponents have two things in common: deep pockets and minimal contact or no contact with tribal nations, native organizations, tribal leaders, or native people. And when they do have contact, because some of them who don't want ICWA, even though they're professionals and at work, their personal interactions and behaviors outside of their employment come with a hood, a white one. I've seen it firsthand. Or they think that because of white privilege that they can go into a foster care system and just abuse the shit out of them. And I'm not exaggerating, firsthand experience here. Excuse me. They say they want the best for the native children, but not a single tribal nation, not a single independent tribal or native organization, not a single independent child welfare organization supports their cause. Because they don't. When to explain the federal red tape that we have to jump through as a nation, in order for a Native American tribe, say like the Navajo, for example, to get a hospital, we have to ask the United States for a hospital, which we have done and have been denied. For us to have water to water our ground for our crops so we can feed our people, not only do we have to ask America, like we're not America too. I mean, if it wasn't for our hard work and I'm just going to leave the land comment alone, because there are many producing with our ways in mind. So I'm not going to go there. But how about the uranium? Yeah. How about enforcing the FBI to uphold and enforce our first citizen rights? Now, there's another one. So they're all like grouped together, and they don't want to be held accountable for the missing and murdered Indigenous women because they refuse to see us as human beings. If you're aware of the recent slip on national TV through a news anchor, the woman called us creatures. Yeah. They are motivated by self-interests, and they want to grow their control of native land, native industry, and native futures. This also goes into that would go into the pipelines coming across native lands and why we are protesting pipelines being on native lands, the oil spills and the uranium spills and the radioactive spills and the contamination of water tables and the restriction of access to food sources because of the pipelines. The pipelines, the major conglomerates are saying, though the nation has set aside who we pay taxes to, and that there are boundaries for your land, we feel that because we make money, we're just going to totally ignore that, and we're just going to come onto your native property, your lands, kill your food, restrict your access to the food that's not killed. We're going to ruin your water because we don't want you to be living. Like, it's a whole hateful intent. It's not just the children. And if the tribal sovereignty falls, because they go hand in hand, it's a big, huge implication for generations. This case has huge implications for Native children and their families, and also the potential impact for future tribal nations. If the protection of ICWA are dismantled, opponents could set legal precedents that have serious consequences for other issues like tribal economic development and land rights. Now, what tribal economic development is many of us natives leave the tribe to go to college, to go to school, like myself. And part of the reasons why I hold an MBA is I want to go back to my tribe and I want to help them set up our infrastructure, because the United States government has a considerable say, not entire say because we are sovereign, but has a considerable say on our economics and our infrastructure and what we can and cannot do, like having a hospital, doctors, nurses, teachers, firefighters, police, safety, feeding, warmth, water, shelter, freedom of movement, self-determination. I'm not kidding. It's oh Lord, it's a thing, guys. It's a thing. A threat to ICWA is a threat to tribal sovereignty. They go hand in hand. To protect ICWA campaign and its supporters understands the importance of this law to urge everyone to stand with ICWA and to stand with the Native kids. So they're going at it two ways. If they can eliminate the children identifying as Native, they think they're going to, though they carry the DNA, which is what I found from other clan members. I'm not a clan member, that came out all wrong. From clan members who I know, who I have known, and Satan worshippers who I have known, who have sat down with me and has explained in great detail that the DNA makes me human, but my cultural identification and how I choose to live makes me indigenous. And then the ignorant comment came that because I could still hunt, gather, trap, fish, build, love, practice healing rites, pray, meditate, see from a different perspective, include all, love one another, respect one another, adapt when I possibly can, hold entitlement to breathe, eat, drink water, go poo, take a piss, that all that's not okay. They also told me that because women produce the children that hold the lineage to uphold specific tribal rights, that is why we come up missing. That, and because we make a good sport when they try to kill us. Balls. When I brought up human rights, and I'm passed as a human, they didn't like that answer, and they also want us to stop coming off the reservation to get an education so we don't speak coherent English. Then would force us into lots of overreach and abuses to put us in environments that are controlled. And then they could say that we are not able to self-determine. So these are all interconnected. They coming. To protect the ICWA campaign, the campaign that established by the four Native Nations organizations. Excuse me. I'm not going to tell you about the Gathering of the Nations and how that went. That's not relevant here, right now, today. Today is November 9th, 2022, and the Supreme Court is hearing ICWA. Now, I have personal issues with the court case that is bringing up the validity of the tribal sovereignty, because the relationship between the parents has fallen apart and now is becoming a who is more entitled bullshit is inappropriate for all of the adults involved. And the long-term psychological effects on the child seeing the parents fight is some bullshit. It is not just because it's a native child. It is so much more. I think that's something us as a whole humanity need to learn. Stop putting the kids in the middle. Which requires a lot more compassion and maturity and emotional grit and mental fortitude and basic respect. Now, your opinion is not my opinion, but we can function as two healthy adults for the betterment of the child. Especially in my situation, when that's exactly what I try to put forward, and he still, in his entitlement, strangled me, chased me to the house with a knife, racial slurs. She came back from a visit saying some things, and because he's white and has money. Oh my God. They all think like that. They all indoctrinate their kids to think of white privilege and white superiority, and it's their inherent right by God. Well, my whole thing is, God made me too. Huh. And nothing in nature is all white. It's all colored. It's all different. There's all different colors and kinds and representations of the multi opportunities to be anything that creation so chooses to bring forth the multi infinite possibilities of perception in their perceived environment. Like, you have the power of change and will and free will and all that. I'm just gonna leave that there. They don't like that. The National Child Indian Welfare Association, the National Congress of Native Americans, or American Indians, pardon me, thank you, because we are Americans, the Association of American Indian Affairs, and Native American Rights Fund. So everything I just said to you, I'm not about the associations and the big wigs that are getting paid lots of money. I sit down with the KKK and some others, Satan worshippers, and some others I'm not going to mention, was all validating hate crimes. Hate crimes. It is illegal to just out of malicious intent to act on hatred that's undeserved and misplaced. Because of your basic disrespect of another person. So I'm going to finish off this. It's almost a half hour long. This is not what I wanted, but I wanted you to walk through this with me. Together, the campaign works to serve and support Native children, youth, and families through upholding the Indian Child Welfare Act. The campaign works to inform policies, legal, and communication strategies in the missions to uphold and protect ICWA. So, it's cultural genocide. Let me see if I can find the email I got, the one I sent to my senator. Let me see if I can sent it. I have tears in my eyes, forgive me. Seeing is kind of hard. Okay, I'm not going to use the search bar. Yeah, that's not going well. 8, 9, 7, 8. I think I'm going to dump the 7. November 8th. I'm trying to make you wait. I should probably keep talking so I don't think it's over Around the 7th. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. I really need to like unsubscribe from some of this. I don't even read it. Maybe if I put in ICWA in my search bar, that would break it up. Yeah, it's all over my email. Nothing from the senator. That's weird. I think I locked it to keep it forever and ever because I wanted to print it up and put it in a frame. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I need to finish filling out that job app. Chili's. Free chip and dip. Whoop whoop. I don't know about you, but free chip and dip. Hey. Bum 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 bum. I get so many emails. I really need to go back and like readjust these. These are a bit much. 666 Come on, November, move your ass. Let's go. Let's go back to the 7th. Hut two. Thank you. Kitco. You don't know I'm a Cutco rep. Yeah, Cutco, Mary Kay, CBDA, and catering. In-home chef, private lessons, food truck. Maybe I'm just too emotional and I've passed it 5 times. Like, I'm thinking that's where this is going. So I can't find it. I do see videos on my dashboard. Maybe I'll just re-upload one of those. So you can screenshot that. Okay. I interviewed and got this job. They wanted me to officially apply again. I don't understand why. I think it's stupid and petty. If you're asking me, it's petty. You recruit me. I applied. You recruit me again. And now you want me to reapply. You have my application twice already. What are you doing? And even in the interview, when addressed, they said, oh, everything's fine. We just need one more copy. You know, forgive my ignorance here, but if you already have 2 copies of my resume, why don't you just print it up, take it to a Xerox machine, and print it again? Just saying. You only need is one. I digress. I see what they're doing. Oh, that's so son of a bitch. Fulfillment specialist. Whatever. Okay. I hope that you found me on TikTok and you texted, because there was a text line that was opened to uphold ICWA. I gave you the code and the number to text to. There's a series of questions. I hope you did that. I did that. I did the texting one just to be extra sure. And my number was 39,439. And that was, I believe that was my 4th petition I signed to uphold ICWA. And though they say, well, Child Indian is not land, is not sovereignty, it is, though, because they're going to showcase this argument, and they're going to say, well, this is the fight the natives put up, and this is what we can prepare for, and because they no longer have the backing of the Supreme Court, that they are going to heavyweight that. That's why it's called landmarking. Yep. Did you know I almost went to school for my juris? It's more than an attorney. It gives me, I was going to be a judge for Native Americans. I thought that would be interesting. Because I grew up in a house where all of our culture, like politics and structures, and it was open conversation every day. And how we as natives choose to live and self-govern and self-determine and community and all of that. And there's huge differences, huge fundamental differences in the way we treat people and love and accept. And one day I will re-record, because I deleted it, re-record the differences between my home with my mother and then my experience in foster care when she died. Yep. How, I've already spoken about it a little bit here. It was an egregious abuse. But, thank you for listening. If you haven't already, please vote to uphold ICWA. I am on TikTok. I do recommend you, at least just for now, you go get a TikTok account. You find Purple Sparkle Felicity on TikTok. And you do the texting. It's the most efficient, most easy way. You can go to Resist. You can go to ICWA.org. You can go, or Resist, sign the petition. You can go to Indian Child Welfare Act, sign the petition, which I don't know how much good that would do now because it's November 9th, the day of the oral argument. But it might be like a submission time and date thing, which they love to do. When I used to lobby and stuff, advocate, activism, get involved. And tomorrow's the November 9th. Oh no, today's November 9th. So today the polls are open to vote for the United States government president, I think. Anywho. Oh, yeah, they don't want us to vote. They don't want Native Americans to be voting either, because when we vote for the United States, we're also voting for how it's going to impact the federal regulations and how they try to always find some way to twist and turn their own rules to cause us to suffer. Oh, I'm so hungry.